This is Grant Fuhr. You may ask, who is Grant Fuhr? He's one of the best NHL goalies ever. Grant was one of the Edmonton Oilers. Now let's start from the beginning. Grant Fuhr was born on September the 28th, 1962. His biological parents were teenagers at the time and gave him up for adoption. When he grew up, he was in Spruce Grove, Alberta. Even though he was black, he was placed in a white family. His parents were Robert Fuhr and Betty Wheeler. Grant's dad allowed him to make a makeshift ice rink in the basement so Grant could skate. Grant loved to skate. His father also bought him a nice pair of skates when he was 4. He skated all the time, getting better and better. When Grant was 7, he promised himself that he would be a goaltender in the NHL. When Grant was 16, he turned down the chance to play catcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates because he knew that it was hockey season. He dropped out of high school when he was 16 to join the Victoria Cougars of Canada's Western Hockey. When Sports Illustrator Ralph Wiley saw Grant play, he described the young Grant as 5 feet 9 inches with strong legs, good eyes, and hands that define description. He was different. As a teenager, Grant showed obvious potential, and he was made into an Edmonton Oiler as one of the drafts. Ron Lau, former Oiler, said Grant never played in the minors. We all knew he was great from the beginning. A natural, yet had no style. Or maybe his styles were all styles. He would come out 15 feet to the challenge, the shot, one offense rush. The next time he would be back in the crease, he would read the game so well. He anticipated the game. Grant was just different from anyone I'd ever seen. Grant also helped rookies get to the playoffs in his rookie season and sophomore year. In the Stanley Cup season, Grant turned in 10 playoff wins. The next season came, and he turned in 15 playoff wins, which made the Oilers win yet another cup. In 1985 to 1986 season, the team once again got into the playoffs, and Grant stood in the goal. He had sleepless nights by his adoptive father's deathbed. For the rest of the 1980s, Grant and his team, including Wayne Gretzky, Kevin Lau, and Kelly Birchberger, all found success. During the seasons Grant was in the Stanley Cup, he faced many racist comments like, "Hockey is a white man's sport. Go back to basketball." In 1990, he started to go off the ice and adventure on his own. However, this did not go as well as he may have hoped. He started to get in trouble financially and otherwise. In earlier years, his contract was extremely modest by the standards of professional sports. They paid little to no attention as he led himself into debt. When Grant finally told people about this, he said, "I was a kid who did some dumb things." He added, "For instance, when my clothes were dirty, I would just throw them in the closet and go out and buy some new clothes." Grant also now admits that overspending wasn't his only problem. The other problem was that Grant started to use cocaine, not to the point of addiction, but added to his financial debt. After a year using this drug, Grant had gone into counseling. Details were shared by the ex-wife, saying that most days she would find cocaine hidden in his clothes, and threatening phone calls from unpaid drug dealers. After this information was spread, Grant faced a year of suspension from the National Hockey League. Many observers said that a year was too harsh for Grant because he did acknowledge the problem and had some treatment for it. He also tested drug-free 1 whole year before the suspension. Taking all this and thinking about it, they lifted the suspension and let Grant join the NHL. When Grant joined, he would have joined the team that had just lost Wayne Gretzky. So Grant must work twice as hard. However, also dealing with comments like people talking about his drug problems, and now he's in the drugs group. These difficulties do not seem too hard for Grant Fuhr because he has overcome many hate comments or people just trying to knock him down. Grant is married now and taking each day to plan his life beyond professional hockey properly. Overall, I hope you know more about Grant Fuhr.